Hi, my name is Keaton Arbery, and today we're going to be discussing the properties of water. Pool therapy can be helpful for people with pain. However, to understand the full effects that pool therapy can have on a person, we need to understand the properties of water. The properties of water include density, buoyancy, hydrostatic pressure, viscosity, and thermodynamics. We can use these properties of water to our advantage in different ways that allow us to promote our health and help us exercise. Let's discuss the first property mentioned, density. Density is the mass of an object compared to the volume that it occupies. Lean body mass, such as bone, muscle, connective tissue, and organs, are denser than fat. Body composition can affect how a person moves and floats when in water. For example, things that are less dense tend to float. This is why we often use dumbbell floats as resistance for many pool therapy exercises. Since muscle is denser than fat, this can affect how an individual or a limb may sink or float when in water. Next, let's talk about buoyancy. Buoyancy is the force that helps keep us afloat when we are in water. When you get into a pool, you displace some of the water, and in return, the water places an upward force on your body. This can also help take pressure off of joints too. For example, standing in about hip-deep water will unload about 50% of weight off of joints compared to land, and more weight will be unloaded the deeper you stand in water. The deeper we stand in water, the more hydrostatic pressure we experience as well. Hydrostatic pressure is the force that water places on all sides of an object when in water. For every foot of depth in water, this pressure goes up by 22.4 millimeters of mercury. Millimeters of mercury is a common way to measure pressure. So, standing in 4 feet of water places 89.6 millimeters of mercury on our feet and ankles, which is higher than our average diastolic blood pressure, which is 80 millimeters of mercury. An example to think about the pressure being placed on your legs when standing in chest to neck deep water is as if you were wearing compression stockings. This pressure helps lessen swelling and pushes blood back towards the heart. As a result of this, the heart muscles have to stretch as they're being filled with more blood, and the heart is at rest a little longer. Also, the heart is pumping blood with more force, meaning with each heartbeat, more blood is being sent out, and more blood is being pumped out over time. The next property we'll talk about is viscosity, also known as resistance or drag. It's no secret that it can be harder to move in water, but what is important to know is that the resistance of water will be greater as we use more speed. This property of water allows a person to control strengthening activities and to perform exercises at their own comfort level. For example, think about trying to slowly walk through a pool. The pool will provide little resistance, making it much easier to move. Now, think about trying to run through a pool while moving your arms really fast. You'll find that it's much harder to do this as the water is providing a lot more resistance. Therefore, you can change the intensity of an exercise by changing your speed. Thermodynamics, or water temperature, is an important property in pool therapy, as water temperature plays a big role in how we store and release energy. Water has a much higher heat capacity than air, meaning it takes a lot more heat to change the temperature of water than it does to change the temperature of air. Not only is water better at absorbing heat than air, it's also better at transferring it too, which means we lose heat faster when we get in water compared to losing heat to air. This is why a pool that's 75 degrees Fahrenheit feels much colder than when it's 75 degrees Fahrenheit outside. The temperature of the water can tell us about the purpose of the treatment. For example, water temperatures between 99.5 and 105.8 degrees Fahrenheit are considered hot and often used for relaxation. Therapy pools are usually set between 92.3, and 95.9 degrees Fahrenheit. Some studies have shown to use temperatures as low as 86 degrees and as high as 93.2 degrees Fahrenheit. A community pool is typically set between 80.6 to 84.2 degrees Fahrenheit, and your therapy pool should be a little warmer than your typical public pool. If you don't have access to a therapeutic pool, using a neoprene wetsuit or a rash guard can produce similar effects by preventing chilling and reducing heat loss to the skin. Let's review what we've discussed in this video. Pool therapy benefits from the properties of water, including density, buoyancy, hydrostatic pressure, viscosity, and thermodynamics, which can all be used to help support exercise. The deeper we stand in water, the greater upward force water provides to help keep us afloat, and the more pressure water places on our body. While this can increase the work that the heart has to do, it can also help reduce swelling. The faster you try to move in water, the harder movement will be due to the resistance of water. For pool therapy purposes, the temperature of the water will be a little bit warmer than you expect compared to a community pool. Thanks for watching.